One of the questions we receive the most is how do I use the performance data on measureQuick? And it's sort of a detailed explanation, so I thought it was just the perfect time for a fireside chat with Jim. So I got waffles here, got my glass of Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, and I thought we'd just have a little bit of bourbon and have a nice discussion about performance and performance calculations. So when we look at performance, probably the first thing you want to really look at is your profile of your system. And that system profile tells us a lot of the information we need to know to calculate performance within measureQuick. So I'm going to tap on the system information button here. You can see I have it set up at 1.5 tons, 410A, a nominal airflow of 400 standard CFM per ton, 13 to 16 SEER TXV, an oversized evaporator, meaning I have a 2-ton evaporator on a 1.5 ton coil. If I hit the info button next to that, you'll see there's information on there. So don't miss those info buttons. They're sort of sprinkled around the measureQuick application. I have my target superheat, my target subcooling, and that target subcooling is an important number because I'm back calculating liquid line temperature with that, so I can determine if we're going to lose capacity to an elevated liquid line temperature, and then our total external static pressure reading. Those are the first primary measurements that we need to actually quantify the performance of the system. Otherwise, it's just not going to be as accurate as it could be. Now, if I tap on the electric bolt there, which is our performance section of it, you'll see right away we're doing 15,200 BTUs. We're in the yellow zone. Our sensible's on the low side, our latent's in the middle of the line, and our sensible heat ratio is at 0.53, meaning that we're not removing a lot of humidity based upon what we could be on there. And so when we look at what's going on here, there's some things that are interesting in the performance section. We'll tap on that. We're actually doing 80% of our normalized cooling on there. So let's start at the top. Number one, you'll see our system stable. You always want to make sure the system is stable before we make the measurements, because the stability tells us that the liquid line temperature is stable, the superheat stable, the subcooling stable, and our temperature split stable. And all those things, and when you first start an air conditioner up, what happens is that the temperature split is 0. And as it runs longer and longer, the temperature split gets to its maximum temperature split, and that's when we evaluate the performance. Now our actual capacity, when we look at nominal capacity, starting at the top here, nominal is 18,000 BTUs. Now, this is an 18,000 BTU unit, but it may not be actually rated at 18,000 BTUs for marine. It may actually be rated at 17,800. And again, in that performance section or in that information section, if we have that information under extended performance, we can actually put that in. This is where you'd put in your rated capacity. So if we said that that's 17,800, which I believe it's probably pretty close to that, and hit submit, we go back to the system information, you'll see that, back to the performance information, you'll see that now, instead of 1.5 tons nominal and 18,000 BTUs, it's 17,800. So now we're doing those corrections. You can see that we're expecting to see around 18,770 BTUs. We're doing 85% of our normalized, 94% of our normalized sensible, and 75% of our normalized latent. All right, so, well, what's going on here? Well, normalization just means that we're normalizing it for the load conditions. So we're normalizing it for the outdoor air temperature, we're normalizing it for the voltage, for the line set length, for the return air, wet bulb and dry bulb temperatures. A lot of different factors in there all come into normalization. And this just allows us to say, this unit, this installation, this is how many BTUs of cooling it should do. We look at our actual, we can see our actual is low, and actual is really not the best driver for performance of an air conditioning. The number one thing you should be looking at is the sensible capacity. The reason we want to look at sensible is air conditioning is only controlled by the thermostat. The thermostat is a sensible measurement device. So what that means is it's going to be only controlled by temperature. And so we want to make sure we're getting as close to 100% of the sensible capacity as we can, because that's what's going to satisfy the thermostat. And that is what's going to also dictate our efficiency. The latent capacity will go up and down with the load characteristics of the system. So we might have a system doing 75% of its latent capacity, and that's totally normal, because latent capacity is available capacity, not necessarily the capacity that it's actually using. That's all dependent upon the humidity. So we don't necessarily want to slow the fan way down to get additional latent capacity and then turn around and have issues with sensible capacity later because we're switching one capacity to the other. So important thing to remember. Sensible heat ratio is just a ratio of heat to humidity removal. In this case, it's almost a perfect 50-50 at 0.53. 53% of the energy that we're using is going to sensible cooling, and the 47% is going to latent cooling in this case. You can see now down here we have airflow nominal and airflow estimated. The nominal airflow for this system is 600 standard CFM. The estimated airflow is 431, so obviously that's low. That's even low for 350 CFM per ton, which would be around 525 CFM we'd want to see. Our estimated airflow, standard airflow is 431, and our actual airflow is 463. Now, standard airflow is a mass flow rate. So if we took 400 standard CFM, that'd be 400 times 0.075. 1 cubic foot of air weighs 0.075 pounds per cubic foot. That's 30 pounds per minute per ton. And it would take 473 actual CFM of the air we have today, because if we scroll down to the bottom here, you'll see it's 0.70. So we basically took 473 times 0.070, we'd get that 441. Or if we took 441 divided by 437 at this point, divided by 0.070, we get 458 actual CFM airflow. So that's actual and standard CFM. And we do that for ECM motors primarily. ECM motors move a constant mass flow rate independent of the air density, and PSC motors move a variable mass flow rate at a constant CFM. Just different technologies, that's why we put that in there. Our temperature split is running 17.2 degrees, and our actual temperature split, our target temperature split, our actual 17.2 and our target's 13.3. 13.3 because we have a lot of humidity in the shop. So a lot of the energy that's in that system is going to go to converting the water vapor in the air to water, hence the low temp split. So don't always expect to see a 20-degree split across the coil. In this case, we have high load. This is simulating a high pull down like we'd have if this was a new installation in a house where we have high temperature and high humidity on there. Return air filter face velocity, we don't have working yet. That's a placeholder for us, but that's going to show you your face velocity, your filter. We want to keep it around 250 CFM per cubic foot. EER is our energy efficiency ratio. And the EER is simply the BTUs divided by the watts of power coming in, and then we convert that to approximate SEER. So you can see right now my EER is running around 8.19 and my approximate SEER is 9.2. This is a 13 SEER system, so even our energy efficiency is low. Our fan efficacy at 1.25 watts per CFM is a little bit high on there. That's again another indication of low airflow. I'll show you that in just a second here. Then we got our bypass factor, which is how much air is going past the coil unconditioned. So if you think about those fins as the air is going through, not all the air contacts the fin, some of it bypasses. And so in this case, a 0.15 bypass means that most of the air is contacting the coil. 0.2, 0.3 is the typical bypass factor. So this again is another indication of low airflow. And then you can see our return and supplier enthalpies and dew point. This is just additional information we calculate and measure quick so we can get that performance. So all this stuff here together shows us how this system's performing, and this would be like a test in. And if I go back and look here, if I tap on any one of these targets, if I tap on the total, it'll show me what my current value is, my normalized target, my allowable range. Same thing for sensible. We're at 93.4%, our latent, and then we can also look at our target sensible latent split. So all those things are calculated for us. Now, if we tap on the flag here, we'll see is we have low airflow, and we have 5 symptoms of low airflow. We can open up those minor faults, and probably the 5 we'd pull out there: supplier dry bulb temperature is too low, our estimated airflow is too low, our fan efficacy is too high, temperature split's too high, total capacity is low. But all this is dynamic, and this is just calculating in real time on there. And now we're down to 4 symptoms of low airflow, but you can see there's some things going on there. And that sensible capacity being low is one that really tells us the system's not working as well as it could. And that's one we want to watch. And that's coming in and out as the system's running. So let's go ahead. I'm going to have my assistant here go ahead and turn up the fan speed on the side of the unit. Just there's a rheostat there. Just turn it all the way clockwise. and we'll get that fan speed up here. I just simulated a problem where I have low airflow in the system, so I'm going to have her go ahead and correct that. We're going to see a couple things happen as soon as she does that. So the first thing we'll probably notice is we're going to see an increase in our suction temperature or pressure, and increase in our suction temperature also. Because what's going to happen is we're going to move more air across that coil. That's going to cause the refrigerant to boil faster. You can see that creeping up right now. The pressure is creeping up just a little bit, but that pressure is going to come up, and also our head pressure may come up because all those things are interrelating. You can see our sensible heat ratio is changing, and now our system went to unstable, and so we're going to have to give that a few more seconds to stabilize. But as we're watching what's happening here, and probably the best thing to look at this is in trending. If we look at our capacities here, you'll see that our sensible capacity is actually headed up. So we're at 7,949, now we're at 8,200, and that may slowly creep up here as we go, 8,300. And what's happening is we're getting more sensible capacity because I've got that airflow increased on the system, and we might see our latent capacity actually drop down, our total capacity going up here. So all these things are going to sort of switch around here as we go, but that low airflow is indicative of low capacity on the system. And this will take a few minutes for it to stabilize, so we're going to go ahead and let this run here. But what this is showing us is that, and we'll see what our performance is looking like here, we're up to 96% of our sensible capacity, 96.4. Our actual's up to 81% right now. And what it's showing you is how the low airflow affects the system capacity and how everything is sort of interrelated. So what this allows us to do in measureQuick is sort of test in, see how the system's operating, make adjustments to the system, test back out, and prove that the system's operating better now than it was when we started. So this temperature split's starting to stabilize here. You can see I have a slight increase in my total capacity, my sensible capacity. My sensible heat ratio is still running about 50-50. It changed just a tiny little bit, but my flag went from a red to a green, meaning the system's operating fine. This is a little bit less than ideal conditions, you know, to show you all this testing, but at least gives you an idea of what we can do in measureQuick with total system performance and how to, you know, really get that best operating well. So, but anyway, this is Jim with measureQuick, and thanks for coming to the fireside chat. And hopefully you can enjoy a glass of bourbon with me next time when you're off work, preferably.